Okay, so it looks like we're live. I'm so
Whoa.
happy. I'm so happy when the tech works.
Me too. I've
Yeah.
I'm a little technically challenged. I shouldn't be, but my kids can outdo me in most things. So my daughter's actually my son, who's 9, helps me with many of my things. Not proud to say
Mhm.
that, but he's pretty tech savvy. The new generation.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. Yeah, especially on this platform because when we're going live, we're literally we need the tech to work in that moment. And so, my first couple of times using the software and broadcasting live, I uh, as soon as I hit go live, it showed me that we went live on a couple of channels, and then error, connection error, or something on
Oh
like
no.
two other ones, and I'm like, "What do I do? I'm
Yeah.
literally live right now. Do I troubleshoot? I don't know."
No, that's my biggest fear. It's one of these. It's understanding the platform that I'm using, but it's always this gut fear of that. Oh my God, what if my internet goes out? What if there's a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
shortage? But
Totally.
I know.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I'm gonna close this other window because I don't wanna spread my
Bandwidth.
bandwidth. Yeah, so I wasn't sure if I was using that right, but yes, thank you. Um, for anyone who is tuning in, we are going to be starting our live stream at 2 p.m. We're talking about benefits today. Bob and I have a pretty good vibe, so I'm excited to have a chat with him. It just feels like I'm getting paid to socialize, so it's good stuff. Yeah,
Don't
but we
question it.
are going to wait till 2 to do like proper introductions and such.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds
hmm
good.
Are you you all that food that we had the other day, that's gone now,
Yes.
right?
I'm so glad you're able to come over the other day. I know we were able to hammer out some work stuff, but
Mhm.
yeah, no, I wasn't sure. I'm glad that you were able to come over and enjoy some, not to be stereotypical, but we had Indian food.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure.
Lovely.
You did pretty well. Like I was pretty impressed with with your spice level. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, like it wasn't
Huh.
like I guess because I'm not used to non-Indian people eating a lot of spice, and you may
Okay.
not have known it, but it was a little bit spicy. I
Mhm.
would rate it for people that don't eat Indian food a lot. It was pretty spicy, but you didn't like
Yeah.
you didn't bat an eye. Like you just like
No,
because
that was very much within my comfort zone. We have a homemade, like, peppers and oil, thing that we do, and
yeah.
we literally will take, like, a little teaspoon and pour that hot oil over
Oh, I love it.
whatever we're eating.
Yeah,
I don't know, peppers just make everything better.
yeah. And I think it's bad on me. Like I need spice. Like I need to have
Yeah,
hot sauce, and I got to slow it down a little bit. But it's almost embarrassing. Like I need hot sauce with.
yeah.
I don't need it. I request it with steak. I'll have it with
Mm.
different things. So I love my spicy food, and it's just I can't eat I can't eat bland food, and I think
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
my challenge. And I'm always the
Yeah.
pain in the butt guy when we're looking at we're in the office and okay, what should we order? We don't have time to go grab lunch. Let's order something. What is it? And for me, it's got to be something spicy. Otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But anyways, how did
Mhm.
you like the new? How did you like it?
I really liked it. I'm gonna just pause for a second and say to anyone who's watching, 3 minutes, and we're gonna be talking benefits. But right now we're talking yummy takeout. Um, so I really liked it. It was really good stuff. Yeah, the like I have had vindaloo that was so hot that it kind of it was like I had to process in order to eat.
Yes. Yeah.
But this was very much within my zone. I was totally fine, and it was yummy. I just love the richness of sauces and
Mhm.
um, yeah. I think Italian food, Indian food really gives me that. I also really. I think maybe the next comparable thing that doesn't fit in those categories is when you get like a pureed soup, like a butternut
Mm.
squash or something. But I
Love
just
it.
love that sauciness, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm a saucy guy, but I love my
Oh,
food
yes, you
in
are.
sauce. Yeah, like it's just yeah, and there's so many foods I like. Having said that I'm picky about spice. There's very few things I don't like, and I think I was sharing with you like I'm not an olive fan, but I'll pretty much
Yes.
eat anything else. Like
Mhm.
ginger, I'm not a big fan of ginger. I will tolerate it, but I love all types of food, and whether it be Mediterranean, Italian, Thai food, and I think that's
Mhm.
what which was my Thanksgiving meal was. our traditional Thai food
Your
this
Thai
year.
turkey.
My Thai turkey, yeah. This year was skip the
Yeah,
dishes all the way.
yeah,
So,
it's all good.
yeah, no, I could talk about food all day.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
think I already mentioned to you, my husband says that food is the way to my heart. And like literally before this live stream, I just kind of checked in on him. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be disappearing for a little bit. How's it going? He's like, I just bought a lot of meat.
Oh,
I'm like,
yes.
what kind? I'm
It's
I'm sorry to the vegetarians out there because I know everyone
I know.
processes the stuff differently. I do really respect all of the food that
Yep,
I consume, and I grow a lot of my own stuff, but
you
it
do.
it really is special to me. So
Yeah, no,
mhm.
I think to each his own, right? Like, um, yeah. Do you do a lot of cooking yourself, or does your husband do most of the cooking, or
He
he's
does a lot of cooking, and then he does a lot of cooking. He's an incredible cook. I end up doing things that are more traditional and maybe more involved. Like I'll make eggplant parmesan.
oh yum.
You know what I mean? Like that might take me a few hours, but I'll do that. He wouldn't really do that kind of thing. So yeah,
Oh,
we kind
good.
of balance it out.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm not. I'm definitely not the cook in the house. That's my wife is area specialty, and even if I did, there's no way I can cook as well as her. I try to help out when
Mhm.
I can. I do
Sure,
the
sure.
breakfasts and do the
That's
lunches
a
for the
great
kids.
excuse to stay
Oh, so
out
you
of
didn't
the
buy it
kitchen.
either? Yeah, she's probably she can overhear me in the other room. She's probably just shaking her head, but I try. I do my best.
Okay, well, on that note, I'm gonna just do a time check, and it is 2. So
Cool.
we are going to do our proper introductions. Anyone who's tuning in, and folks, I really hope that I hope people are seeing the notification show up on their social. Anyone who's here, welcome to our PayEvo live stream today. I'm really enjoying these. This is, I think, maybe week 4.
Yeah,
I
I think
think.
so too.
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm Juliana. I work at Payment Evolution as head of marketing, but really, I'm just here on your screen, on your phone, wherever you are. I'm just some like work bud, you know? And I'm really honored that you're giving me your eyeballs today. And I'm very happy to have my friend Bob with me today. Hey there, Bob. Why don't you
Hey,
introduce yourself?
hey, thanks so much, Juliana, for inviting me
Mhm.
to this. So this is all new to me. So my name is Bob. In case I haven't met some of you don't know who I am. Bob Mather. I'm also with Payment Evolution. I look after the brokerage arm of Payment Evolution. So what that means is I look after all aspects of the insurance products, whether that be individual products or group health and dental programs for our clients.
hmm Okay, well, thank you for that quick overview. I'm going to have a lot of questions about that because um, there's so many little assumptions about what all of that could mean. And I think benefits is like one of those nebulous things where people say the key words, and a lot of people
Mhm.
know the jargon for the titles at least. Um, but unless you've been an administrator for benefits in your company, or unless you've been lucky enough to really take advantage of benefits, I think it's all still very nebulous. Has
Yeah,
that been your experience? You get a lot
yeah,
of that?
absolutely. So, I mean, like you said, the term benefits is such a vague term. When if somebody mentions, "Oh, I have benefits at work," I find a lot of people don't even know what that means. Like, what does that
Yes.
mean? So,
hmm
I usually try to make it simpler to understand. So, basically, when I talk about benefits, it's is like health and dental programs for employees of an organization.
hmm
It's just seen as a simple way. When most people think about benefits, though, there's a variety of different things that can be inside of a group health and dental benefits plan. I find
hmm
when most people talk about benefits, they relate to things like being able to get glasses, being able to go
Yes,
see
yes,
the
yes.
dentist, being able to, to get prescription drugs or to get a massage.
hmm
I don't know if that makes things a little bit clearer, but I find, you're absolutely right. I don't know if the term benefits really is a great term to describe
hmm
what it is that an employer is offering or how an employee can benefit.
hmm so I want to put a pin in that for a second because I I believe that, well, I'm putting, I need to put another pin in something, which is not everybody does work they love, but I know that you're engaged and I know that you love what you do. I
Yeah.
can see it in the way that you behave, in the way you carry yourself, the way you talk about your work. But I believe that uh, people don't just fall into something. There's some sort of connection in terms of purpose. There's something that draws you in, and so I'm wondering, how did you? There's the logistics of how you ended up in the benefits world,
Mhm.
um, but also, what does it mean to you? Like, how did you end up here?
Great question. So, if I go back without giving you my full story,
Hmm.
I'm a business. I went to university. I got my degrees, and I got a business degree and an economics degree from McMaster University. So my first job coming out of my first real job coming out of university was working for one of the big banks.
Hmm.
Um, but though that was my first, I call my real job, the most rewarding job I probably had. I started when I was 14, and I still continued doing it even while I worked at the bank, more volunteering. I work with developmentally challenged kids, and it really put life into perspective for me. It was a life altering experience where. Um, to go back a step again, I was fortunate enough to go to private school when I was younger. So I was from grade 7 to grade 13. For those of you who don't know, there used to be grade 13 a long time ago.
I think I was
Um,
the last year
oh, you really? Oh,
of grade
now
13. Yeah.
you've really aged me. But yeah,
No.
no, it's interesting. I was surrounded by a lot of great friends and students that I went to school with that came from a lot of wealth.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, on weekends, I would go work with individuals that couldn't feed themselves, individuals that
Wow.
would have trouble getting a job. So part of my role of where I was at this one place in Oakville was to help some of these individuals get jobs. So some of them would be working at Shoppers Drug Mart, stacking shampoo bottles. And um, doing that while I worked at the bank, I saw people come into the bank that, came from wealth, and I was helping doing financial planning activities with them and weren't necessarily happy. And
Yes.
then working with some individuals that would make literally $5 a week, back then, $5 a week stacking shampoo bottles, the look of joy on their face, getting that $5 check
Yeah.
where, it put life into perspective for me, Juliana. And it's like, all the money in the world doesn't mean anything unless you have your health, right?
Yeah.
So I think in the back of my mind, to answer a long-winded way of answering your question was,
That's all good.
um, I think from an early age, I kind of realized that I enjoyed helping people, right?
Yeah.
Helping them achieve whatever potential that it was, or to help them do something. So when I was at the bank, it was almost a puzzle for me. It was helping somebody that was trying to get their finances in order to try to achieve, some type of goal, to make
Yeah.
sure that they had enough money for retirement, or um, achieving some, to them, a personal goal.
Hmm.
How I came into benefits is when I left the bank, I actually ended up working for some individuals that left the bank and started their own company. And when I left the bank, to be honest, I left the bank because it was an opportunity that allowed me to work from home.
Hmm.
Compensation wise, it took care of me, but it was when my wife was expecting our first child. So I had the
Mm.
ability to work from home. And yeah, I think from that experience, I work for this person. They bought some franchises, the person I work with, and it just came up that, hey, who in the office wants to learn about group benefits? I bought these restaurants, and I need to have benefits put in place for them. So I put my hand up and
Mm.
learned about benefits, and quickly realized that benefits just wasn't a commodity. Maybe
Yes.
it is to some people, but it's more,
Hmm.
it's offering protection for their families. And I hate to sound dramatic, but I can tell you, and that was more than a decade ago that I sort of stumbled into this sort of realm of group insurance and insurance. But I can tell you, there's a lot of stories where if people didn't have a benefits plan that the employer didn't offer,
Hmm.
I don't know where they would be. And I can tell you stories of people that were diagnosed with cancer,
Yeah.
people that have rare conditions that need some of these high cost drugs that they just wouldn't be able to afford if
Yeah.
they didn't have coverage. So, sorry, I'm just rambling on,
No,
but
it's
it's,
riveting stuff to me
yeah, no,
anyway.
it's just, and
Hmm.
I hate being so dramatic, but it's so
Hmm.
true that, when we put together benefit plans or group health and dental coverages for, employers and their employees, it makes me feel good to know that at least if something should happen, there's
Yeah.
coverage for them. And there's different types of coverage you can get, and that's dependent upon budget and a variety of things. But whenever I see an employer putting a benefits plan, a group health and dental plan in place for their employees, it makes me feel good that at least I feel, whether it's true or not, that they actually feel like they value their employees and they want to
Hmm.
offer something that's beyond what lands into their bank account to look after their families, or if they're single, for themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I, I think it's great that we're just all so different because um, as a slight tangent, but I think a similar example. I when I graduated university, my first job was with the government, with the it was in education, and it was not for me.
Mhm.
But I'm so grateful that there are people who are passionate about policy writing in education. For me, the pace wasn't there and whatever, and I needed to find my home. But you said, I'm sorry to sound dramatic or something like that, and the fact is we need people that are passionate about things that other people are not passionate about,
Mhm.
because these things ultimately, they have great value. And then, from there, my thinking is, um, it's interesting because I think you and I have some overlap in experience, even though it came in different ways. My sister she had her first symptoms of multiple sclerosis at 16. She was diagnosed at 18. She was told that she'd be in a wheelchair in 2 years. She pushed that very, very hard and made that um, closer to maybe 15 years,
Mhm.
which is incredible. But my parents are small business owners, and we didn't have benefits, and we're very lucky that things worked out the way that they did, and we were able to care for her. But in my late teens, when I became aware of the fact that as a sibling of someone with MS, my chances of having MS are slightly higher. Um, that was the first time in my life where I ever, like, I wondered, how am I gonna take care of myself if that happens?
Yeah.
And is there's got to be a solution for this? And I discovered benefits,
Yeah.
and started looking at plans. I couldn't believe the pricing, and yeah, so it's an interesting. It's really important to have that health perspective, I think, um, to have the opportunity to see, because if you just kind of fall into the need for benefits, all at once, and not be lucky enough to have them, um, it's that proactive versus reactive approach, and that's the whole idea around insurance generally, right?
Yeah.
Be proactive, protect each other, share the risks across the group, and ultimately we take care of each other just by having this in place as a function, as
Yeah.
an institution we can buy into. So yeah, I really value the work that you do, and I'm
Oh,
glad you do it, because I'm not interested enough in all of the paperwork to
yes.
do that.
No, no, listen, I think, I don't think anyone ever really prepares for something bad to happen to their health or to a loved one's health. And, insurance is called insurance because it's insurance. It's there to protect you should something happen.
Yes.
And, I think half of the battle, for me anyways, is just getting people to understand how important benefits, can be, right?
Hmm.
You may be healthy today, but who knows what can happen. And maybe this is a dated reference, but I know, um, everyone thinks that they're healthy. Everyone thinks that they're exercising. I don't know if you remember who Mario Lemieux was. He
Hmm.
was a huge athlete, as a
Hmm.
captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, he was diagnosed with cancer, right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
these diseases don't
Hmm.
they don't pick, they're random. They don't care what your status is, what your income level is. It can happen. And once again, not to be dramatic, but it's just one of those things where, it's always good if you have the ability to prepare for things that may happen. And
Yeah.
part of the challenge is, to me, is to reach out to enough people to say, hey, like, do you know these are some of the things that could happen? But more importantly, here's how you can prevent, um, any financial hardship, or maybe, come up with resources to help you with treatment for whatever. right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, no, it's just a tough
Yeah,
thing.
and I do want to say, we're here to be dramatic about this topic.
Yeah,
If we're not going to talk about why it matters on a deep level, and why it matters to us as individuals, then then I think we might even be doing a disservice to people, um, because this kind of thing can just sit on the back burner for a really long time, completely, not within your, not on your radar.
mm,
And if only you heard this discussion, a year earlier,
yeah,
your life could be different. So there are a couple of things that, three things actually, that I'm noting here, because, you mentioned you want to spread the word, you want people to know how important it is. Um, so there's that element. But even if you can convince somebody how important benefits are, I think another barrier is around, then what?
mm,
Right? So I'm curious a little bit about what do people do with that if they do buy into the idea. Um, if someone says, "Oh yeah, I know I should be getting benefits, or I know I need to look into that." Like, what stops people? Because I know a lot of small business owners. My family has got a lot of small business, entrepreneurial people in it. But I don't actually. I'm not sure that many of them have health benefits. Um, and why is that?
great question. And a few years ago, we did a survey at Payment Evolution for just some of our client base that are small to medium sized businesses across
Hmm.
Canada, and we asked them,
Hmm.
you know, how many of you have an employee group health and dental program?
Hmm.
And we found out more than 78% of the client base or small to medium sized business do not have a benefits plan, which is interesting to me. But
Wow.
it's the second piece of information that was even more interesting or kind of almost shocking to me is when asked, okay, if you don't have a benefits plan, what was the number one reason why you did not have a benefits plan? So for me, coming from the brokerage world, I get it. Sometimes cost is always a barrier. In fact, that wasn't the number one reason why most
Hmm.
of these small to medium sized businesses did not have a benefits plan. The
Hmm.
number one reason why they didn't have a benefits plan is they didn't know where to buy one. So, in answer to your question,
Yeah.
so once you've sort of bought into the idea of having a benefits plan, um, I think the next step is for you to reach out to, someone that can maybe help you navigate through what type of coverages are available. How
Yeah.
can a well thought out and well put together benefits plan help not only you,
Hmm.
your employees, but how can it help your business?
Yeah.
And that's something that we at Payment Evolution, me and my team, can absolutely help with. Um, I think that's the biggest challenge is that for someone to have that aha moment to say, hey, you know what, whether it be I'm sold, I need a benefits plan, or for me it's just a wish to someone to say, hey, you know what, I've heard so much about these group health and dental programs. I want to learn more on how it can help me with my business
Yes.
and
Yeah.
just reaching out to me, and then we walk all of our our clients and contacts through the process, and there's absolutely no obligation, what. And
Yeah.
one thing I've always said is that we're not the right fit for everybody, right? So it's just
Hmm.
a matter of getting to that stage where, hey, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that if you've had a curiosity about something, we've walked you through all the scenarios that are available, and then you can decide for
Mm.
yourself if it's something that may be of interest to you. I hope it's with us, but
Yes.
if not, at least I feel good that I've
Hmm.
walked you through the process, and something that you've always wondered, we've been able to answer.
For sure.
Um,
For
yeah,
sure.
so it's not a very difficult process. It's just gathering a little bit of information about the employees, and
Hmm.
then getting some pricing for you based on a plan design that we work through together. So it's completely customized.
For sure. So there are a number of awesome nuggets there. I'm going to pause for a second because we have a hello. Hello, Vihan. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. I hope some others out there are enjoying our conversation too. So a couple of things that I really want to dig into there. Um, I think it's worth repeating. You said that the survey that you ran produced some interesting results. It wasn't just like money wasn't the biggest barrier, but knowing how to even access this stuff. And here we are living in the age of Google where everything is at your fingertips. But again, it's this nebulous idea of like, yeah, I can. I know what it is, sort of, kind of, but then how do I implement that? Um, and we're talking about how important it is to consider benefits, to be proactive, and the difference it can make in a person's life, in a family's life. And that's a very romantic notion, this idea of, we're taking care of each other, and we all want to protect each other and all of that. And then there's this very unromantic, fill out the application,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I get, it makes sense to me that somebody might see the value, but then that's kind of disassociated in some way from actually, the next step. How painful is it to get to start the process?
Actually not as painful as you would think. I know some of the objections around insurance is this this big feeling that, oh my God, I have to fill out a bunch of paperwork. I'm going to have to kind of sit with this broker for hours and have someone sell me. And that's
Hmm.
absolutely not the case at all. It's having a conversation. So on that note, as most of you or some of you may not know, Payment Evolution is above anything a software company. So
Hmm.
the founders of the company have really worked hard to help democratize the process of not only having access to fantastic payroll software, but also democratize the process of offering group employee benefits to small to medium sized businesses.
Hmm.
Typically, in the back of most people's minds, a full benefits plan was really accessible to larger organizations.
Yeah.
What we've tried to do is, on your note of making it as simple and as painless as possible, we've been working very hard with some of Canada's largest carriers to offer something called our benefits quoting tool.
Hmm.
What that is, it's a non-invasive way for clients of Payment Evolution, and we're launching this slowly, province by province. So right now, it's available to Ontario, just because we want to make sure, if there's any glitches or anything that we want to improve upon or get feedback before we launch it to
Hmm.
the whole nation. I hope
And
I'm
to spread the word, because
and to
as a
spread the
marketer,
word. Yes,
it's good to do that in manageable chunks. Hmm.
yes, for sure. So we've kind of made it very simple because, if you're a Payments Evolution client, we have all of the data about your employees.
Yeah.
Within 5 minutes, you can literally, you know, through the payroll software, click a button, verify the information about your employees,
Hmm.
play around with what type of coverages you'd like. So if
Hmm.
you wanted, massage coverage, if you wanted coverage for glasses, if you wanted to
Yes.
increase coverages for a variety of different things, very quickly, within 5 minutes, you can get an instantaneous quote from some of Canada's largest carriers.
So that is amazing.
Yeah.
I recently was buying a car. I needed a new car, and overanalyze a lot of things, and so while I'm considering options, literally on the floor at the dealership, um, I want to be able to go online and get an idea of how much the insurance is going to cost me.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes, like, I think that's, a little more retail ready, that insurance. But that can even be hard to find. Um, so just from that experience, like, I'm so glad that we've done this work on this online quoting tool for health benefits. Like, does this exist anywhere else?
As far as I know, we're the only company that offers live instantaneous quotes
That's pretty
anywhere.
awesome.
Just
Yeah.
because, and that's just goes to, and I can maybe talk about, we're doing also some work, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about that. We're doing some work with some of the insurance carriers to work on some integration between payroll and benefits, which I think is a huge, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
I think those organizations who, so in saying that, there are some organizations that already have a benefits plan.
Yeah.
And,
Sure.
one of the things that we want to do is we always want to make sure that the benefits plan you have in place is actually one that's seen to be of value to your employees. So we
Yeah.
do a lot of work around working with existing companies with existing plans, doing audits to make sure, are you, is your costing the way it should
Hmm.
be? Is the coverage that you have, is it being utilized? Are you
Yeah.
paying for things that you don't use?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just finding out more about their benefits plan. But
For
yeah, we
sure.
there's a variety of things that we can do to help make the process as simple and painless as possible. The key is, and I honestly mean this, whether it be through us or through, an organization that you work with that maybe offers group insurance. I really urge you to, investigate it if you don't have a plan currently.
Hmm. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Dustin. Thanks for joining us and thanks for the comment. Um, there are two things. I hope I remember both of them because I want to follow up on. One of them is you talked about how you can kind of play around, do you want vision and that sort of thing. Um, what I really love about that and want to underscore and confirm
Hmm.
is, are we talking like a sliding scale of things where I can say, I do want this, I don't want this, I want a lot of this coverage, I want less of this coverage, and that ultimately affects my price and how accessible it is to me?
That's correct. Absolutely. So, with any benefits plan, without going into too much, I sound like
Sure.
I've got my radio voice, which I don't quite have. But with any benefits plan, there's typically three core sections to any traditional benefits plan. One's a little bit of life insurance. The
Hmm.
next section is called extended health, and the
Okay.
last portion is dental. Within each one of those portions, there's some key components or coverages that lie underneath each one of those three things. With
Okay.
our online benefits quoting tool, you could go in and actually, we list some of the core benefits that are covered. And you're absolutely right, it's a sliding scale. Say if you want, I
Mhm.
want vision coverage. Okay, how much do you want? I want $300. I want my employees to be able to purchase $300 per year worth of either, whether it be vision, whether it be
Mhm.
glasses, contact lenses,
Mhm.
frames.
Mhm.
I want that to be covered at 80% or 90%. And I want my employees to have coverage for massage at $500 per year or
Mhm.
$300 per year. So, an employer can really customize the level of coverage they want to offer based on the price. And how why I say this is something that I don't know of any other organization that offers across Canada today. Um, as they're making the changes, the price of what that would cost for all of their employees actually changes on the screen instantaneously.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's
say
awesome.
yeah, so it's kind of a cool thing that I find it's a great tool for employers to sort of at least get over that initial sticker shock sometimes because they have no
Sure.
idea. And I think that's part of the challenge. People don't know what a benefits plan costs. And,
Yeah.
for the most part, most people find out that benefits aren't as expensive as in their mind they had the perception for it to be.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. I actually wrote something down the other day, and I'm going to make sure that I read it because it's perfect for right now.
Yeah.
Um, the most expensive health benefits plan is no plan at all.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I was really there was just something that you talked about in terms of perceived value and how that can shift depending on where you are in your life. Um, and I had to write that down. That ultimately having no benefits plan, having no insurance in place, nobody wants to be in this situation, but it can cost you more than
Yeah. Oh,
spending
yeah.
the money and being prepared.
You really never know the value of a benefits plan till you need
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
often when people have that mentality, it's like, oh, if I need something, I'll get it. It's often too late.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Exactly.
going back to your question before, like it's not, going through the benefits process, even just to
Mhm.
inquire, it's very simple. It's very little work that's done on your end.
Mhm.
Part of what we pride ourselves at Payment Evolution is we try to make the process as, not as
Mhm.
intrusive as possible. So we do most of the heavy lifting.
I love it.
We may just ask, some questions just because we really want to get to understand. Um, I guess one of the first questions I always ask is, for what reason do you want to put a benefits plan in place?
Mhm.
Typically, there's three main reasons why most organizations put a plan in place, and those could be like to attract new employees or valued or high valued employees. Two is
Mhm.
to retain some of their core staff, and three is to offer a way to reward their best employees. And
Mhm.
benefits typically is the most tax efficient way to offer compensation to you. And
Mhm.
I know I've shared this with you. I don't know the exact the Sanofi report, but
Yes.
it's talking about I wish I knew and I can maybe share you the
I,
exact numbers.
I I'm not going to remember exactly, but I think it's a $5,000 number, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Um, where essentially people who were surveyed said that they would prefer benefits to $5,000 cash.
Correct.
Um, and it's interesting because having employees, paying them minimum wage, and not having benefits is cheaper. That is the cheapest way. Um, but do you really want the employee that is perfectly fine with that? Do you want the employee who doesn't want more? Then you're probably just kind of there with the coasters. You're there with the people that are
Mm,
just kind of, along for the ride. Um, I think I do a lot of career coaching on my time, on my own time, and I can't help but notice that a lot of my new graduates that I coach, they don't think it's a career unless it has benefits.
yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's this awesome startup. Um, they kind of put it in the same bucket as their teenage job that they did with no benefits, because if it doesn't have benefits, because of the fact that there's just it elevates your value in your
Yeah.
organization, to know that they're making that investment and they want to protect you.
Yeah.
um, mhm.
I agree 100%. For those organizations that offer benefits, um, to me, that means that, they really care about their employees and, want them to be healthy. And I will say, on the flip side of that, there's a little bit of a selfish reason why benefits are being offered, because typically, I think you've heard most people say, healthier employees
Mm,
tend to be more productive, right? They're more
yeah.
engaged, they're happier, and then that
Mhm.
really, can have an impact on that organization's bottom line, right? So,
For sure.
yeah,
Well,
no, it's
and then there's that piece about, just being proactive about your health is actually gonna keep you healthy. Having to recoup after you've become unhealthy is, the losses are already piling up at that point. Lost time, pain, and suffering, uh,
yeah,
extra expenses you couldn't plan for. So it really is, a pretty hefty gamble to not have some backup in your life. There was one other thing that you mentioned. And I remember what it is. I'm always impressed when my brain works. Um, you talked about people who already have benefits plans, and I can't help but kind of relate things to my ways of understanding things. And um, in marketing, the first time you market something, if you've never done any marketing for your business, the first time, like, you can expect some results maybe, but really the first time is benchmarking. You almost can't do marketing very well. There's a good chance you can't do it well without the benchmarking. And so I couldn't help but see the similarity there. Like, number one, um, don't stay with a plan just because it was right for you and you chose it 5 years ago, or whatever the cycle is. But also, you have info now that you didn't have when you bought the plan. And so, yeah, like, it just really resonates with me, with the way that I make decisions professionally. That benchmarking is a good enough of a reason to go back to the drawing board and make sure that you made the right decision. Um, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to underscore that.
yeah. No, I think that's a huge point. For those organizations that took a benefits plan 2, 4, 10 years ago,
Hmm.
it's super important to keep, assessing the information of the plan. So I think you said, I think we've all said data is king, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
with every benefits plan, we have access, as a consultant. I have access to all of my clients' data as far as usage goes, and I
Hmm.
think it's very important to make sure that the plan, year after year, month after month, is still relevant.
Yes.
I can't think of any plans that have kind of just sort of stayed the same and don't change.
Yeah.
Employees change. Sometimes an older
Hmm.
demographic, an older demographic makeup of employees has different requirements or different needs
Hmm.
than, organization that has mostly a younger
Yeah.
demographic. And I think we all know, with, the different types of employees, Gen X, whatever category they belong to, they value things very differently. And I think, for those employers that have put a benefits plan, for competitive reasons,
Yes.
there are a ton of employees, when looking for a job, that are now saying, okay, that's great, that's what it pays, but can you show me what your benefits plan is? And they'll literally ask for the benefits booklet,
Yes. Yes. It's
because
true.
they value, like, I think when most people are looking for jobs, and not all, they're looking for some sort of stability. They're looking
Hmm.
for, okay, I'm
Hmm.
taking this job to not only have enough resources to pay for the things I need to pay for on a monthly basis, to save for retirement, but also provide stability for my family. And that could mean, I want to make sure that if somebody gets sick, my young one needs prescription drugs, or
Yeah.
if I get injured and I can't work,
Yeah.
do I have that protection,
Hmm.
that I can feel comfortable? I enjoy the work that I do. I've got the income to pay for the things that I have, but I also have job, security, both on the health, but also
Yes.
financial security for my family. And I think, people underestimate how important a benefits plan is. Like, you know, and I know I'm going to butcher this scenario, but it's
Hmm.
one of those. Someone actually was talking to me about benefits, and it was more about insurance, and said if you could have a job that paid you $100,000, but if you got sick, you had nothing, or if you could get a job for $95,000, but if
Hmm.
you got sick, you'd have income for life. Which one would you choose? Right? And everyone's got different answers. For me, I take the 95. If
Yeah.
something happens to me, I got sick and I've got stability for the rest of my life. That's true. And I know it's beyond, I'm going a little bit more in depth, but that's something like that's covered for things like disability insurance,
Yes.
which I think is one of the core benefits that, everyone should look at. That's great. You've got coverage for going to the dentist, you've got coverage,
Hmm.
for getting a massage. But if you were to get hurt and you weren't able to
Hmm.
perform the duties of your own job, would you be able to survive?
Yeah. Yeah, that isn't that I feel like I've kind of overheard this at some point. Isn't the disability insurance more important than life insurance for death,
Yeah. Well,
because of costs associated? Or
I
maybe
think,
some other reason, I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
no, it's a great reason. So it's one of those things where, life insurance obviously is very important. So, and
Mhm.
it doesn't benefit you because you're no, if you do collect upon it,
Yeah.
it means you're not around. So, but it is one of those tools that a lot of financial planners will use to make sure that not only is your family taken care of, so something, God forbid, happened to you,
Yeah.
but also that
Mhm.
any estate issues as far as taxes go are taken care of. So,
Ooh, I
insurance,
did not know that.
right?
Mhm.
So, um, it's just a tool to make sure that your family's taken care of. So whether you have any debt, you have mortgages, do you have kids' education that you'd like to fund,
Mm, mhm.
income replacement. We're coming up to a time where a lot of families have two people that are working very hard, and to take time off from work, like
Yes.
maybe they can't.
Mhm.
Double income
Yeah.
is so important today. So insurance sometimes provides a little bit of break or some income replacement for that time of period that maybe they need to grieve, maybe they need to get their house back in order if there's, a loved
Mhm.
one is no longer there. There's
Mhm.
just a variety of reasons. It could, it's so important. The disability, that's if somebody passes away, but the
Yep.
reality is more people, and there's a couple of different types of insurances. The reality is more people, if you go back 20 years, and you compare that to now, the reality is more people are surviving any diagnoses that
Yeah?
are coming up, right? So
Mhm.
living benefits are becoming more and more popular or more valued. So a
Mhm.
living benefit is something called critical illness insurance.
Sure.
Typically, many years ago, someone, if you ever heard someone had cancer, no pun intended, it was a death sentence, right?
Yes.
The reality is now people are,
Mhm.
have cancer,
Mhm.
are going under
Living.
treatment, are
Yeah,
living.
living
So
with cancer
living with
and living
cancer,
well, right?
right?
In some cases, yeah.
So there are some insurances, something called critical illness insurance, which
Yeah.
will give you a payout if you're
Mhm.
diagnosed with a variety of conditions. So you're
Yes.
diagnosed with cancer, you have a stroke, you uh, go into a coma, a variety of things where you didn't die, but you need the help,
Totally.
right?
Totally.
So there are, there's just a lot of insurances, Juliana, without going into
Yeah.
too much detail.
Yeah.
And that's part of our job at Payment Evolution is to go through and talk to each one of the business owners to say, hey, what's important to you? What do you think is important to your employees? And
Mhm.
then if it's something that the employers want to be able to offer, but maybe don't have it in budget,
Yeah.
they often will introduce us or let us know of our services to their employees, and that's something that they can arrange through us, separate from them, at no
Yeah.
cost to them.
Yeah, for sure. I can't help but think of a friend of my family's, young man, early 40s, um, picture of health, works
Yep.
out every day, eats really, really well. Um, and one night he had a seizure in bed, and they started, investigating, found that he has a very advanced tumor. I don't know all of the details. I
Mhm.
won't even, venture into that. But um, thank God he has the insurance backup that he has, because he is spending his time fighting this to live as long as possible for his children. And if he had to worry about paying bills and not having, some of that backup there, talk about ruining your quality of life. Like, and I'm not talking about just with your health.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
stress levels, not being able to be there mentally because you're for your family, because you're worried about the big picture. So I'm very glad, and he actually made a career change right after school. A very, very smart guy, and decided that he wanted to work with kids. So he left his profession and became a
Very cool.
teacher.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and I think everyone's really blessed that he's got some great coverage there. So yeah, I can't think of a scenario where someone has benefits and it was bad. Like, I can't think of one scenario where it was a waste of money.
No,
you know?
and I think that's, that's the challenge, is that I don't think there is any bad scenarios where there's a benefits plan
Hmm.
in place. I think the
Hmm.
challenge is either getting the message out that, you know,
Hmm.
with us, we specialize in working with small to medium sized businesses across Canada, and I think it's getting the message out. Going back to my survey, where the number one reason why they didn't have a benefits plan is they didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
It's just getting in front of as many of those small to medium sized businesses. Say, hey, you know what? There are options, there are
Yeah.
solutions for you that we have the ability to sort of customize based on your budget and the
Yeah.
coverage that you want to offer. And I think any little amount that you can do is best. And to go to your point, like, I don't think there is such thing as a bad benefits plan.
Yeah.
The fact that you
Hmm.
have it, I think, is a positive. I think what I can absolutely can say is that I think there are a lot of plans out there that could be better, right? And when I
Hmm.
say better, it's I mean not so much about cost. And I know a lot of people use cost to sort of quantify a lot of things. For me, when I talk to clients that have existing benefits plan, um, I know you won't find me asking, do you think you're paying too much? I'll usually
Yeah.
ask, do you think you're getting value from your
Hmm.
benefits plan?
Hmm.
And that goes to what you were saying before, is, now with technology and the amount of information we have access to, if you have an existing benefits plan, we have the ability to audit your plan, really
Yes.
dig down and take a look at it and say, hey, are you, for every dollar that you're spending, are you allocating to the right area? If no
Yes.
one's using massage, why do you have such a rich massage
Hmm.
coverage? If
Hmm.
you're finding employees are asking about glasses, and you don't have the glasses coverage, but you offer physiotherapy coverage and no one's using it, maybe it's an
Hmm.
opportunity to take a look at and say, hey, maybe we sort of shift some of the coverages within the plan
Yeah.
to maybe offer a plan that's of value to your employees. Like, if you're going to spend $1 towards a benefits plan, and you have the opportunity to put it in a place that it's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
Right?
for sure. And you mentioned earlier when we were discussing this that, an organization that has, maybe younger employees or older employees would have different needs. But as time passes, like, it really is a living organism, right? As time passes, if you have, I don't know, if you have a bunch of, it's a startup and you have a bunch of young folks, and 5, 10 years later, they might have dependents and things have changed. Or if you have an older workforce, they may have retired and now maybe you have different needs. So there are so many reasons to audit your usage, but also because your use case may have, like, it could very easily have changed in not that long of a time.
Yeah.
um, so it's good that you can leverage that data. I do want to ask though, because you said you have the ability to audit, you have the
Yep.
ability to look and see what's being used.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask a privacy question. If
Sure.
I go to get, I don't know, 10 massages a year, does my boss know?
No. So that's a fantastic question. So the information we have is generic information. So we can take a look at, as the broker, we can take a look at and see, of your whole company,
Yeah.
$200 was used towards massage, $100 was used towards physiotherapy. There's never any link between who actually processed that claim. So it's
Okay.
very generic information.
Okay, and then how about drugs? It would
Okay.
you see that there, well, even if it's not necessarily associated with me, but it's a controversial drug and I'm still kind of self-conscious about it, are you gonna see the exact drug or what it's for?
No, so different carriers have different rules, but in general, unless you're like a fairly large organization, you have 100 employees or more,
Mhm,
you're not going to get that information that's so granular to say what type of drugs. Typically, most of the information that's provided. So, first of all of the information is provided to the broker, and
mhm,
then the broker gets very generic information. It won't
yep,
say Bob Mather submitted drugs for
mhm,
whatever. It'll
yes,
say of your plans, of all the employees, $400 in drugs was submitted for this year.
mhm. Okay, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
and going back to the audit, so I think it's also very important to to take a look at. It's not only the makeup of the plan that is that needs to be audited. It's the carrier. Um,
mhm, okay.
what's your experience been with the carrier? Are your claims
Mm,
getting paid? Are
yes,
your employees coming to you say they're having difficulty submitting claims?
yes,
Is your broker doing a great job for you? Are they looking at your plan? Are they
yes.
helping you sort of, keep abreast of what's a modern plan look like?
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
do you have disability coverage? What's your policy on disability? So there's just
yes.
so many things that you can take a look at, in completing an audit. It's not specifically just what's the usage like. It's taking a look at the whole picture, right?
Yeah,
As a consultant, we're paid a commission. So, to be fully open about how
mhm,
myself as a consultant or a broker gets paid, we're paid by the insurance company, right?
yes,
So included in your monthly premium, a small portion of that is commission that's paid to the broker. So
yeah,
part of my job is to make sure that we're doing our job to
mhm,
make sure that you're happy, that and I'll always say the best benefits plan is not one that's in front of you all the time, that's with problems. It's one that's running around in the background,
yeah.
that's there if you need it, right?
Yeah, and you almost take for granted. You don't even
Yeah,
y
it's there,
you
like
know,
it's just
you don't
peace of
have
mind.
to. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally,
it's
totally.
like, yeah.
That comment that you made, I appreciate that, about, your job as the broker because, I think it could easily come across as like the broker doesn't really matter. You're the person through which I place the order. But it's not that. You actually do want somebody who cares, and who will engage and help you find value when there's opportunities for that. Um, there is, oh, I'm having a little bit of a brain moment, but I'm going to quickly look. We've got a question here. Um, we've got a comment that it's so great to know where our premiums come from and go. Thank you very much, Carrie, for your comment. Yeah, sometimes I think that perception, again, this nebulous thing, cracking the shell and understanding what's happening on the inside.
Mhm, mhm.
And it's not just a broker saying, yeah, yeah, buy this. A lot of people buy it.
No,
It's good. It's good for you.
no,
Buy one now off the shelf. Hmm.
and I think it's so important. Like, with benefits, it is. I think it's for me. I can't just fathom someone buying an off the shelf solution. I think there's so many things to
Hmm.
consider. If you're really gonna put a plan in place, I think it's so important that it sort of meets the needs of not only you, the employer, the needs of the business, but also just as important, the needs of the employees. And I don't know
Yeah.
how you can have a what's that saying? One size
Yeah.
fits
One
all
size fits all. Yeah.
solution when you haven't taken the time to get a little bit of understanding of why is the benefits plan put in place, right? And I think
Hmm.
it's so important that you work with an organization or you work with somebody that has your best interests at heart,
Hmm.
type of thing.
I had there's a question coming in. What are some factors to consider for a plan? So, I think you've talked a little bit about this.
Mhm.
So maybe overview of that, but maybe some other items that we haven't talked about. Like we talked about the sliding scale, um, but what else factors in? Is it just
Yeah.
like what do I want, or
Yeah.
how do you make these choices?
I think that's a great question, and I think it all depends on, have you had a benefits plan in place before? So if you've had a benefits plan in place before, I'm hoping that whoever you're working with has been sort of letting you know what are some of the, I guess, the favorite coverages that people are using or utilizing. And I think
Hmm.
if you have that knowledge, that puts you one step ahead of the game. So you're going to take those factors into consideration when choosing what benefits you want to offer. If you're
Mhm.
someone that's never had a benefits plan before, I think, the first thing that I always want to do, and I always want I guess, the business owner to think about is, for what reason are you offering the benefits plan? Is it one
Mhm.
that you value your employees and you want to offer something to them to protect them because you've got long-standing employees? And it could be any one of these. It may not be just one. It could be that you're trying to maintain a competitive situation
Mhm.
with
Makes
other
sense.
employers in the same space, that you
Mhm.
may not be able to to match some of these larger organizations as far as pay goes, but offering a benefits plan that's fully paid, or whatever that may the case may be, or maybe some of those other organizations that are your competitors don't offer a benefits plan. I had a
Yeah.
chance to speak. I had a conversation with somebody today. They're in the home rental industry, and
Mhm.
part of his challenge is finding good employees. He said it's a very transient type of space, and
Mhm.
um, he's now come to the conclusion that you know offering a benefits plan will set his organization apart from other organizations that don't offer a benefits plan. And
Mhm.
he finds people that have families, and it's not always the case, just families, value a benefits plan
Yeah.
in general more than someone that's single that said, I don't need it. But having said that, there's organizations that are one employee that want coverage because they know they have,
Mhm.
a condition.
Mhm.
On that note, typically organizations that have one employee do not have access to benefits, but
Mhm.
through some of our other relationships, we're putting together a member based benefits program for one of our partners called CPB Canada that
Mhm.
allows benefits to be offered to organizations that have one employee.
Yeah. Tell us about CPB Canada and what you're doing with them.
Yeah, so
And
it's
and who are they?
Acronyms are
oh my
challenging.
god, yeah, no. So this is an organization of bookkeepers and accountants across Canada that
Mhm.
have joined this organization that provides member benefits to their members. So some of the benefits are getting credits to make sure they're accredited, as well as providing information sessions, networking opportunities, just a whole array of benefits to their membership. And one of the things that they wanted to offer as a perk or member benefit is a benefits plan for their membership. So
Yeah.
working with them, we went through a big RFP process. Work with
Mhm.
them to find out what would be of value to their members, and we were able to put something together that most organizations wouldn't be able to put together, and that was the ability to offer benefits to their members and their firms, but sort of at group rates. Typically, a
Mhm.
lot of with insurance, it's about volume.
So at group rates, even if you're a team of one.
Right. So if you're a team of one, you sort of get lumped in with all the other people
Mhm.
participating in this association
Okay. Okay.
type plan to take
Mhm.
advantage of group pricing. So
Yeah.
typically, if you're an organization, a sole proprietor that it's just you running the show, um, finding benefits can be a difficult task.
Sure.
There are some plans that are available. Typically, they're very expensive and very constrained as to the level of coverage. Very
Yeah.
different than a full traditional benefits plan.
Mhm.
Being part of this group or organization, you're sort of, it's a terrible analogy, but it's almost like you're one employee of 1,000 company, right? So now you partake in the ability to get benefits that typically you wouldn't have access to, but because you're part
Yeah.
of a larger group, you have access to.
Yeah. No, I think that that's great. So I want to quickly ask. So this is for the Certified Professional Bookkeepers of Canada.
Canada,
Is
correct?
this something that's available now?
Yes, actually, it's a great question. We actually just launched this to the CPB Canada membership
Cool.
just this week, and
Mhm.
anyone, if there's anyone out there that's a member, we haven't done a full launch yet, so information will be coming out soon
Mhm.
about how to get in touch, or you can reach out to me directly if this is something that you were interested in. But yeah, no, we're super excited as
Mhm.
this is huge for many of those organizations that typically didn't have access to benefits before
Mhm.
because of their size. So it's not
Yeah.
even because they didn't want to have it; they just felt, okay, I'm only a one person
Mhm.
organization, and I do understand the value of it, and I need it. Just didn't know how to get it. Now there's
Mhm.
a means to do it.
That's awesome. I love being a member of like a membership organization association that actually brings me value. So is this only available to like this launch you're talking about? Is that only available to to the members of this one
So,
organization?
so this one particular program is only available to the CPB Canada membership. However,
Hmm.
there are other options. So if there are any of those organizations that have one employee and are looking to put some sort of benefits plan or be able to reimburse themselves for
Hmm.
any drug or health accounts, we have something called a healthcare spending account, which
Tell
is
me
a
about
whole
that.
conversation. So basically, what a healthcare spending account is, it's one of the most tax efficient ways to convert any health or medical or dental expenses that someone has personally into a business expense. So
Hmm.
um, I'll be very clear. It's not
Yeah.
insurance. It's just a
Okay.
reimbursement plan. So basically, the main benefit of it is it's being able to control what your budget is. So
Hmm.
say, Juliana, I worked for you, and as a business owner, you wanted to offer some sort of benefit plan to me, but maybe you weren't ready to take a full blown traditional benefits plan, but maybe you wanted to control your costs. So you can allocate an amount, whatever amount that you wanted to. So it could be $500, it could be $1,000. You can allocate
Okay.
an amount that I, as your employee, can submit and be reimbursed for, whether it be dental, medical claims up to. So, for example, if you allocated $1,000 to me, I
Hmm.
have the ability to be reimbursed up to $1,000 for any expenses that I submit. And they obviously have
Hmm.
to be eligible expenses. So things like
Sure.
any dental expenses, glasses, physio,
Hmm.
massage, drugs. I could
Hmm.
I can submit and be reimbursed for any claims up to the amount that you allocated. The system
Hmm.
is completely digital. There's no paper filled out. I go to the
That's
dentist. It
great
costs,
these days. Nobody
yeah,
wants to touch paper.
that's
Sorry, I
paper.
cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's no, you're absolutely right. So I can, before I leave the dental office, if that's where I go, I take a picture of the claim, and then
Hmm.
usually within 3 days, I'm reimbursed that value. So the benefit to the employee, it's a way to be offered benefits and be able to submit health and dental claims, but
Hmm.
also I get to choose where I spend my benefit dollars. So if I'm
Yeah.
given $1,000 allocated, or 500, whatever that amount could be, whatever that amount is, I can
Hmm.
choose. I may use it all for massage. I may use some
Yeah.
for glasses and some for dental.
Yeah.
I get to choose what I use. The benefit to the employer is that they get to budget how much they want to offer for their employees.
Hmm.
So if they have 3 employees and in their head they say, okay, I want to keep my costs low, and I'm willing to prepare, under $2,000. I'm willing to pay under $2,000 to offer a full benefits plan or
Yeah.
some type of benefits. They may give $500 to each employee, and
Hmm.
they're well within that range. So any cost that the employee submits,
Hmm.
that is technically paid for by the employer, but any
Hmm.
cost that the employer incurs is a deduction to them, to the business.
And what happens if, as an employee, like, what if I offer that to my employees and my employees use, like, I don't know, one uses 20% of the amount, one uses 80% of the amount. Like, what are my costs?
Fantastic. That's a fantastic question. So the other benefit, sorry, the other pro, I hate using benefits to describe benefits. The other
Mhm.
pro of having a healthcare spending account is, um, we at Payment Evolution, our program does not have any cost currently to set up the healthcare
Hmm.
spending account. If
Awesome.
you allocate $500 and there's 3 employees, so that's technically $1,500 you're allocating. We don't collect any funds up front, so the cost to you is zero. So if nobody submits a claim in any given month, um, there's no cost to
That's
maintain that
awesome.
account at this point in time.
Yeah.
If someone does submit a claim, the cost to the organization is this. So say, as if you the you know so I'm your employee, I go to the dentist and it costs me $100. I pay the dentist $100. Before I leave the dental office, I can take a picture of the claim. It gets reviewed, and then I'm reimbursed my full $100. The cost to the employer, is the cost of the claim plus an admin fee. Our admin fee right now is 8%, right? So the cost
Great.
to the employer is $108 plus tax. Some
Mhm.
provinces, and there are rules and regulations across the country. So in Ontario, there's tax. In BC, it's just the cost of the claim plus the admin fee with no taxes.
Wow, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that there's so much flexibility there and just so many opportunities to be proactive. Um, you mentioned something earlier, and it just kind of keeps coming back into my mind. The you know whether a plan is a good fit for you is not just about cost and coverage, it's also about experience. And uh, I can't underscore how much experience means to me as a marketer.
Mhm.
As a tech junkie, I want to use stuff that's fun to use. And then I think about this one health plan that I had. It wasn't actually mine, but I was able to benefit from it. It was my husband's, and it there was a $20 coverage per physio trip,
Mhm.
and the submitting process was so painful, and this ultimately got resolved. It's not like that anymore, and I'm grateful for the coverage, but for the $20 it wasn't worth the hour I would spend, or the 2 hours sometimes, administering it myself. So yeah, user experience matters.
Yeah, and I would argue with you. So if that was your husband's plan, so the
Mhm.
employer was paying for that, and if
Yeah.
you, the employee, thought it was a pain in the butt to submit claims, I would say that you didn't really see value in that one benefit. But the
Mm.
employer may not know that, right? So the employer may think, "Oh, I'm offering it," but there's so as when I look at the data, and this goes back to how when you audit the plan, you take a look and see where's the usage coming from. Okay, you can
Yeah.
see there's very little usage, or you can I can also request reports to see how many claims were declined or how many claims were denied or whatever. And that just, that's more of a factor of, what's the ease of use of the benefits plan? If
Yes.
you're paying for a benefits plan as an employer and your employees either find it difficult to use it or they
Mhm.
don't think it's worth submitting the claims, um, it's defeating the purpose of offering the plan.
Totally.
So, right. So I think it's so important that and once again, I'll say it. It's not only cost that's important when looking at what plan you should put in place. And I'll say one thing. I'll always say before you start shopping around, like one of the solutions for people with an existing plan is to shop around and find other carriers and see what rate they would offer. But I say even before you do that, I would much prefer that before you start going to the market and going to see what all the plans are being offered. It's more about you actually really vet who's representing you in the marketplace, who's
Mm.
the consultant that you're using, who do you think
Yes.
is going to be the best to represent you to the carriers.
Yeah.
Once you've decided who that right person is, then have them represent you in the marketplace. And that's
Mhm.
that's the only thing that I would say is that there's so much weight put on cost, but there's so much more to cost that you should really take into consideration when
Mhm.
trying to determine the right benefits plan for your business and your employees.
Yeah, I am quite spoiled, but I really only want to work with people I like.
Yeah.
And so I try and use that as a rule. If I need to find a doctor or a coach or whatever, it's the same thing with me for work. If I'm going to do work, I'm going to do work I like. So I don't think this is an exception. I really think that it's super important that you work with somebody you like, because that person is more likely going to understand you. The communication will be smoother, easier. There will be sort of a shorthand there right away because you just kind of get each other. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of power in and benefit, using benefit to describe benefits.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in having a good relationship with the person that you're working with.
Yeah.
There are a few call outs where we're at about an hour, and I'm always amazed because sometimes I'm like, oh, like no pressure. We might talk, like however long we talk. We could talk a long
Oh yeah,
time,
yeah. That's
but I am watching the clock to be fair to folks and make sure that we fit everything in. Um, but there are a few call outs that I want to remind everyone of. So you mentioned bookkeepers. There's something launching. They now have access to benefits through the Certified Professional Bookkeepers
yeah.
of Canada Association or something. I might be getting it slightly wrong. But if you are a bookkeeper out there with a membership with CPB, you want to be contacting Bob, and I'm going to bug you for contact info in a second.
For sure.
The HSA, the health spending account,
Yeah.
you said that there is no administration fee for PayEvo clients, or not administration fee, like in order to set it up. Is that right?
There's
There's
no
no
setup.
setup fee?
There's no setup
Yeah.
cost. The only time there is a cost is if somebody submits a claim. So
Okay.
if somebody sets up a healthcare spending account and there's no claims submitted that given month, there's no
Hmm.
cost that given month.
Okay, now I was trying to wrap up, and now I have one question. So if I am a small business owner, I'm only really paying myself. Can I, for free, essentially, using PayEvo, set up my HSA so that if I have any medical expenses, I can use it rather
Correct.
than take it out of my pocket,
Correct. So the
and then
main
it's tax
benefit,
deductible.
right?
Hmm.
So it's a tax. You know, it's one of the very few CRA approved
Yeah.
tax methods of converting a personal
Hmm.
expense into a business expense. And
Yeah.
you know, whenever we have these types of discussions with organizations, it's always best that, you know, if you want to contact me, we can absolutely go through the pros and cons of
Sure.
offering a healthcare spending account, and if to see if it's the right solution for you.
Hmm.
But no, absolutely,
That's amazing.
it's an underused tool for those organizations that may want to offer something, just haven't. And you know, during periods of COVID, and that's a whole nother ball game where they maybe want to control their costs just until they sort of get a better grip on where things are going with their business. It's just a way to
Hmm.
offer things to their employees while there's a period of uncertainty, but you know, and being able to control their cost. It's a great tool.
Hmm. Okay, so again, I have one more question. This one's a little gritty.
Okay.
Um,
Uh-oh.
can people use can someone use their health spending account to cover something like plastic surgery?
Great question. So there is, I have to check. So it depends on the type of plastic surgery.
Okay.
So surgeries are covered, but there is a list of approved claims that can be approved and paid
Wow.
out. So it's
Hmm.
not the Wild West. CRA does
Yes,
actually
yes, yes.
give you a list of
Yeah.
expenses that can cover. Any reason why you're asking that, Juliana?
Just curious, just curious. I know I have a lot of friends that went into law because of what I studied, and this one friend of mine started at a law firm, when we first graduated, and it was like a couple of partners, and it was all young lawyers,
Yeah.
and so they had a health benefits plan, and then it's a lawyer's office, like they have some money to work with, but ultimately this young workforce spoke up and said, like, I don't have any dependents, I don't really take any medication, but I would really like to get some work done. And so that's
Yeah.
actually the conversation that led to them adding a health spending account. That was the first time I ever heard of a health spending account. So I
Yeah.
don't actually know how they're using it, if it was
Yeah.
ever used that way. But that's why I was wondering, because I know that opened the door to that conversation in that company.
Yeah.
I think
So
it
you
started
are
as
right.
a joke, you know?
Yeah. So
Uh,
there are types of surgery that are approved, and there's some that are not.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just,
Fair enough.
but you're right. Like, and in addition to the healthcare spending account, we have something else that we can
Hmm.
offer. It's called a flex account. So it not only covers health and dental expenses, but it also covers wellness expenses. So things like gym memberships,
Cool.
which maybe today you're not able to use, but
Yeah.
personal training. It covers fitness equipment.
Yeah.
It actually covers some daycare expenses.
Oh,
It can
wow.
cover, yeah, and CRA's put out a list of some of the eligible expense. Some of it's like camping equipment, which is I thought was kind
Wow.
of different. So once again, if anyone needs more information on what's covered and whatnot, they can reach out to me for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe you can't conventionally go to the gym right now, but I'm not a gym person. I don't really want to go work out at a gym. But right now, there are virtual wellness options out of gyms that haven't been available before, and so now I'm suddenly a customer where
Yeah,
I would never have gone in person for certain things.
yeah,
So it's I didn't even know, I've never heard of the Flex account. So that's really cool. I'm
yeah,
glad that you shared that.
yeah.
So CPB folks, payment evolution clients, definitely take advantage of the health spending account if you can, and the Ontario quoting tool, the
Yes,
online benefits quoting tool.
yes,
I wanted to put pins in those because those were really, really great announcements, and yeah, I really hope people take care of them,
yeah.
so, or take advantage of them. So if somebody wants to pick your brain, talk to you about wellness, talk to you about healthcare, or health benefits, how do they find you?
So the best thing to do is to email me, and
Okay.
the best place to email is bob@paymentsevolution.com.
That's so easy. Like,
Very easy.
you're lucky. My name, Juliana, can be spelled so many ways. And then I have a ridiculous last name. So that's great. Bob at paymentevolution.com. And Bob is a super nice guy who I
Oh,
know
you're
will
so
help you
sweet.
out. Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Always
so are
happy to
you.
help. And once again, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, like there's no expectation of everything. If you're just looking to someone to talk to find out if a benefits plan is feasible for you, or you wanted to learn more information how one can help you and your business, please feel free to reach out.
Awesome. I really appreciate that invitation. I'm going to put out a quick invitation. Please follow me. You can pretty much find me anywhere online at, and this is where my complicated name comes into play, at JTCina.com. That's JT China, not .com, JT China at, you can pretty much find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, uh, even LinkedIn, I think, just by searching JT China. Um, and let me know what you think about these episodes, and if there are questions that you want us to answer, if there are topics you want us to cover. I love being a resource. If I could do this, um, if I could just do this and nothing else, I probably would just interview people all day and get people answers, because I really do love all that brilliance that is trapped in people's minds, and I like to tease it out. So please take advantage of that, and follow PayEvo. On Twitter, you can find us at PayEvo. So that's the at symbol, PAYEVO, and let us know what you want to hear about, and we will talk about it 2 o'clock on Fridays. Have an awesome weekend. Thank
Have
you,
a great
Bob, for
weekend.
joining.
Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone
Mhm.
for who were able to tune in. And you were fantastic. I was nervous coming into this, but I
Aw.
felt you did a great job of just keeping the conversation going. So thank you for that.
I swear to you, I feel like I'm getting paid to socialize. So thank you.
All right.
Thanks for
Have a
making,
great weekend.
thanks for giving me fodder for the conversation. So we're good. We're good. All right.
Awesome.
Have a great weekend,
All right.
everyone.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.